Hello, my creepies. Um, Back again with another interactive horror story. Um, so far, we have done The Doll and After Funeral and gotten both the endings on that one. So I guess next up we will do Crystal Skull. So you are a king who is loved by his people. You have a serious problem, though. Your only child, Juliana, has an incurable disease and she is dying. You hear about a crystal skull which can cure illnesses and let people have visions. It is brought to your palace from the continent of America, but your man warns you that the skull might be cursed. Will the crystal skull bring health to the princess or doom? Let's find out. Being a king is hard. Being a good king is even harder. You knew this well as the sole ruler of a European kingdom in the age when America is discovered. It has been 25 years since you ascended the throne. Your subjects are content with your rule, your country is in peace, and the people are wealthy. But there's something wrong with your life. Your daughter Juliana is ill. She's only 18 years old, and she's got an illness that nobody can cure yet. Princess is dying, and she is your only child and heir to the throne. Every doctor you could find tried to cure her. You have tried almost everything. Almost. You have been informed about a miraculous artifact unearthed in the continent of America. It is a human skull made of crystal. It amazes the scholars because no method is known to carve such an excellent shape of a skull out of crystal. The skull doesn't belong to the world that you know, but to an ancient civilization that has been lost. I wonder if this is going to be like Indiana Jones, if it's like the same crystal skull. I wonder if there's aliens in this one. But what amazes the scholars is not just the impossible creation. The skull is told to bring miracles to whom touches it with their bare hands. Some people tell that they saw visions from the future. Some tell that they saw how the human race has originated. And some tell that the skull can cure their illnesses. Those couldn't be cured with the medication available to your era. Naturally, you order your best men to bring the miraculous skull to the palace. It is midnight now. You are in Juliana's chamber. She's lying in her bed, holding your hand as you sit by her bed. The candles are lit inside. Full moon enlightens the princess's chamber, shining on her long blonde hair and blue eyes. She is too weak. Her skin is pale. She has under-eye bags showing her illness. You already suffered the loss of your wife 10 years ago. Now you can't stand seeing your only daughter slowly die. Juliana asks you with a soft voice, "Father, am I going to die?" So I can either tell her that I won't allow it, or eventually yes. I mean, depressing as it is, eventually yes is the truth. Even if he cures her sickness with the skull, she is going to die, at some point, for some reason. But nah, let's be all gallivanting. I won't allow it. She smiles. "I know, Father, you are a mighty king. I know that you will do the best by your subjects and by me." So good. The door of the chamber is knocked on. The servants surely don't disturb the royal family members at night, so it must be something important. My only option is to tell them to come in. Brunette boy, one of your servants, gets inside the chamber with politeness. He looks at you and says, "Your Majesty, the artifact has been brought. You have been waiting for this moment for a long time." So we can just go get the artifact, or we can kiss her forehead and say, "I will come back." I'm going to be a nice daddy. After you kiss Juliana's forehead and say, "I will come back," she brings your hand to her pale lips and kisses it. Then you leave Juliana alone in her chamber. At the exit of Juliana's chamber, you see Sir William, one of the knights. Those were appointed with the task of bringing the ancient skull. He is a strong man with black hair and a round beard. He wears gloves and holds a bag. "Your Majesty," he says, and kneels before you. Our only option is to stand up and let's go to my chamber. So Sir William follows you as you walk to your study chamber. The chamber is well lit with the silver candelabras. All the furniture are classy. It is a king's study after all. There's only one chair. It is for you. You sit on it. Sir William stands by you and slowly pulls the artifact from his bag. You push the books on the study desk to open space for the artifact. Here it is, he says, and gently puts the crystal skull on the study desk. The skull is truly a masterpiece. If it is crafted by humans, which it wasn't, it was aliens. All the details of a human skull are imprinted with care on raw crystal. Lights coming from the candles are refracted inside the crystal, gaining various colors of a rainbow. It's magnificent, but you sense something sinister, something that doesn't belong to our world. Because it's aliens. So we can just touch it, or we can ask them if they touch it. So I don't want to touch it because it can cause weird stuff. So I want to ask them if they touched it. Yes, we did touch the skull with our bare hands, and we all had visions. We took glances from our future. Some of us saw how they will die. Some of us saw our grandchildren, he continues. But maybe we shouldn't have touched the skull. The day we were about to leave, a native man came to us. He looked like the chief of his tribe. He knew little of our language, but he shouted some words that we could understand. Cursed. No touch. So we haven't touched the skull with our bare hands again. I know that our princess needs to find a cure. I also know that we received reliable information about the magical powers of the skull when it comes to incurable diseases, but Your Majesty, I have got a very bad feeling about this skull. I believe that the wise decision is to throw the skull to the sea. I guess let's just let her touch it. Let's just let her touch it. The knight sighs. As you wish, Your Majesty, but if you're going to bring the skull to her, I wish you would wear gloves. Nah, let's just touch it. Let's just touch it. You ignore the knight, touch the skull with bare hands, and instantly find yourself in a vision. In your vision, you're in the middle of a ritual. There are about 100 naked humans around you, forming a circle whose center is you. They are all prostrating themselves, worshiping you. It's nighttime. The plain area is enlightened with torches and stars. You see a stepped pyramid nearby. It is made of huge stone blocks. You realize that you are the crystal skull. You can't see yourself, but you're completely aware what you are. These naked people are worshiping you, the crystal skull. Then the vision changes. Now it is not night, morning. It is raining like hell. Wonder if we're back in Ohio. There's a huge flood. Unclothed red-skinned humans scream and get drowned because of the disastrous torrent, and you, as the skull, drift away. Open your eyes and turn back to who you really are, the good king. Sir William looks at you. Let's tell him the vision. You tell him what you have seen in your vision. Yes, the skull is mysterious. I can't understand it. I hope it doesn't bring harm to you or the princess, Your Majesty. So let's just take it to Juliana. You thank Sir William for his services and let him go. You carry the skull to Juliana's chamber. You enter her chamber and see that she hasn't slept yet. She rises up and sits on her bed. She looks at the skull in awe. It looks marvelous and scary, she says. You approach Juliana and let her touch the skull. She holds the skull, rubs her hands around on it. Nothing happens. Is something supposed to happen, she asks, then gives the skull back. Then she continues, let's wait for tomorrow morning. Maybe it shows its effect then. So you decide to leave Juliana alone and let her sleep. The skull will be staying in your study chamber. What is it with everybody just leaving their kids alone? Why is that a good idea? After this tiring day, you go to your chamber. There are no guards at the door. You trust everybody at the palace. You are a loved king. The furniture are luxurious in this chamber, too. You take a glance at your reflection in the mirror. Let's take a good look at ourselves, you know. Maybe something's changed. You take pride in how you look. You're a middle-aged man, but you still look as handsome as you were young. Your looks are an important factor that make you a charismatic leader besides being fair and wise. Because if you were ugly, they probably would have already killed you no matter if you were fair or wise. So let's sleep. You wear your nightgown and get in your bed. It is a bed for 2 people, but you haven't slept with anyone since your wife passed away. You have a secret that you keep from everyone. Sometimes you hug the second pillow in your bed as if it was someone you love. You do this since your childhood. Nobody needs to know it. It doesn't take long for you to fall asleep. That's cute. You wake up in the morning. Something is wrong. You can't move your arms. Not only your arms, you can't move any part of your body. You are paralyzed. Then suddenly your body starts to move involuntarily. It stands up without your consent. Your feet bring you to the mirror. You see your face in the mirror. You are terrified, but there is a grin on your face. You are no longer in control of your body. You are merely a bystander of what it does. It brings you to the throne room with confident steps. Soldiers salute you, to be exact, as you enter. It sits on the throne and shouts with your voice, "Bring me my daughter." You watch guards accompany Juliana as she comes into your presence. It shouts, "I don't want her to suffer anymore. Kill her." Juliana is shocked. "What? Father, please." She is not the only surprised one in the room. Everybody looks at each other with shock. It shouts, "You heard your king. Execute her." You try to shout, but your screams are buried inside the head of the king. Juliana gets on her knees and cry in despair, but it's in vain. 2 black masked decapitators come into your presence. One holds the crying blonde girl, the other holds the sword. Ugh. You can do nothing but watch as your precious daughter gets decapitated. Her head falls down and rolls to the throne. The floor gets filled with her blood. Days pass. It continues to control your body. You mourn for your daughter inside the body that once belonged to you. You watch it rule your country with an iron fist. It orders all the churches be burnt and priests to hang. Of course, your people uprise against the new king. It suppresses the revolt with violence. Anyone who stood against the king gets tortured. Eyes are poked. Skins are flayed. Soon it orders people to worship it as a deity. The God King declares war against other countries. It doesn't take long for the other countries to form an alliance against the God King. In a fateful battle in your capital, the God King loses his horse. The evil king gets killed while desperately searching for a horse. And this is how your soul finally breaks free to heaven to see your family once again. The end. There are 3 endings. Okay. Let's try this again. Okay, so our first thing is we're gonna try. Yeah, eventually. She sighs. It's so sad. I'm a princess with ambitions to become a ruler, and it is certainly not about personal gain. I want to continue what you do. I want to be a fair ruler and make our people happy. She continues, but I think this is life. Death conquers all. So we'll let him in. Go to the artifact. We'll go to our study. We'll ask again because we know what happens if I touch it. So let's try not letting her touch it. Oh crap. So I'm gonna wear gloves. I hit the wrong thing. So Sir William pulls his gloves and gives them to us, and we take it to Juliana. We thank him, and as Juliana touches the skull, she closes her eyes and doesn't react to anything in the external world. You understand that she is having a vision. After 10 seconds, she opens her eyes with a gasp. I saw things. I don't know how to describe them. They were pitch black creatures, so ugly. Their eyes, they were red as flames, and they all stared at me. She starts to cry. Please keep this thing away from me, please, and I want to be alone. So we take the skull to our study and we let her sleep. Yeah, we'll go to sleep this time. Father, you wake up to Juliana's voice. She gently holds your shoulder. You look at her. She has a happy smile on her face. Her skin is not pale, but saturated with life. She no longer has bags under her eyes. I feel wonderful. She takes a few steps back and starts dancing. You laugh with happiness, stand up, and hug her. She walks in the corridors of the palace, dancing and laughing. You and the people at the palace are very happy to see her this way. She used to be like a ghost before. Plan a feast and invite all the lords of the kingdom. A few days later, every lord arrives to the capital city to celebrate the health of the princess. At the feast, Juliana is the center of everybody's attention. She talks with everyone joyfully, makes jokes, makes people laugh. When the feast is over and it's midnight, everybody goes to the chambers reserved for them. You accompany Juliana to her chamber, and you put a kiss on her forehead before letting her sleep. Then you go to your own chamber and fall asleep in peace. You wake up to the sound of knocking on your chamber door. It's still night, and you wonder who it could be. I guess I gotta open it. It's the same brunette boy who had informed you about the arrival of the skull. Your Majesty, I'm deeply sorry for disturbing you at this hour, but there is something wrong. This whole story's wrong. There are laughing sounds coming from the princess's chamber. It's her voice, but it doesn't sound normal. I guess we can check it or say it's not important. Let's check it. You walk to Juliana's chamber like the servant said. Hysterical laughter comes from inside. You enter. You see Juliana at the balcony of her chamber facing back to you. She laughs under the pale moonlight. You approach her and put your hand on her shoulder. She turns back to you. Her face is normal, smiling. Just when you are going to ask if she's okay, she responds, I know it looks funny, Father, but I am fine. Please leave me alone, she says. She stops laughing, gets in her bed with a smile on her face, and you decide to leave her alone. You go back to your chamber. You can't sleep. You feel something is wrong. So wrong. The door of your chamber opens. There is only one person who is allowed to enter without knocking on the king's door, so you understand that it's Juliana who entered. Like you guessed, you see your daughter's silhouette. She closes the door and approaches you with a smile on her face. She leans down to you, gently pulls the other pillow that you don't use. Juliana is dead, she says, pushing the pillow on your face. You struggle, but whoever or whatever is trying to kill you is too strong. The king is dead. Long live the king, she shouts. Why is your own daughter committing patricide, regicide, and referring to herself as king rather than queen? This doesn't make sense at all. That is the end of your reign in life. The end. Okay, one more ending. Let's see if we can find it. Maybe I'll hit the right button this time. Okay, so he says he believes the wise thing is to throw it to the sea, so I trust your insight. Let's do it. I'm glad you agree with me, Your Majesty. So he packs the crystal skull back into the bag. You two get outside the palace and get on your horses and ride to the docks. You reach the docks, Sir William finds stones and fills the bag with it. Then he throws the bag, your only hope for curing Juliana, to the bottom of the dark sea. Know how hard it must be, but maybe this is the best for all of us. You hope that he is right. The end. Well, that was anticlimactic. Okay. So that was story number 3, Crystal Skull. There's a Crystal Skull too, so maybe we'll do that one next. Maybe we'll skip Evil Beneath the Ground and go to Crystal Skull too. As always, like and subscribe. If you liked it, feel free to share. You can always check out my Instagram for pinup and movie reviews. If you want to throw a little money my way and help me do more videos, you can become a Patreon supporter where you'll get access to exclusive reviews, cooking videos, cool little care packages. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you next time.